We're now going to talk about doing a titration. When you collect waste vegetable oil from a restaurant or from anywhere that they've used the oil is typically going to be well used, it's going to be somewhat acidic, and it'll be important to find out just how acidic it is so that we can neutralize that acid with excess lye. So we're going to talk about how we do it here on the board. First of all, we need to make a known amount of base. In theory, what we're doing is we have an unknown amount of acid, and we can make a known amount of base. We're then going to take a sample of oil. We're going to add a pH indicator to it. And the one that we choose to use is something called phenolphthalein. It's very popular in the industry to use. It's the most scientific one. You can actually use phenol red or turmeric or pH strips, but the one that I like to use the most is this phenolphthalein. So I'm just going to label it phenol because it's a really long word, and if you want to know what it is, look up on my site and I'll show you how to spell it. So phenol is our pH indicator. Okay, and basically what we're going to do is take some oil, we're going to add it to some alcohol, and the alcohol is neutral, and so the alcohol is just going to be a solvent to put it in so that we can dilute it. So we've got an oil alcohol solution. We're going to put a few drops of our pH indicator in there, and then we're going to slowly add known amounts of our base solution. We're going to do that in milliliters at a time. Okay, so here's our base. And what we're doing and what we're watching for is this pH indicator to change or indicate a pH higher than about 8.5. So what we're going to do is, as we add known amounts of the base, our goal is to figure out how much base solution it's going to take to neutralize that acid. If you remember, on a pH scale, you've got 0 to about 15, this being your acid side, this being your base side, and we're going to add known amounts of base to an acid until our pH indicator indicates that we've neutralized that acid. That known amount that we get, let's say it's, 4 milliliters, we're going to then plug into a formula to tell us how much lye we're going to use per liter of oil. If you remember from before, our formula for making biodiesel was oil plus 20% methanol plus 7.5 grams of catalyst if we're using potassium hydroxide. If it's sodium hydroxide, it was 5.5, okay? Well, for a titration, we're going to have something that we call our base. In other words, our starting amount. That starting amount is always 7.5 if we're using potassium hydroxide. So I know that it's going to take 7.5 grams per liter of potassium hydroxide to react brand new oil with 20% methanol into biodiesel, which is what we do when we make a small batch. For titration, I'm going to add a known amount of this base solution until I get it to neutralize, and I measure that, and then I add that amount to this base figure. So let's say that we got 5. So that would equal 12.5 grams per liter. That means I'm going to add 5 additional grams of potassium hydroxide to neutralize the acid in that oil so that I have enough lye left over, or potassium hydroxide, to make biodiesel with. And that's all we're doing when we do a titration. Now, to build our known amount of base, we're going to make a 0.1% solution of KOH in distilled water. So we're going to add 1 gram of KOH to 1 liter of water. And this makes a 0.1% solution, and it's what we use to titrate with or to add to our acid. This is our known amount. So with that, let's go ahead and we'll make our solution, and then we'll do a titration.